Hey, seventh grade. Welcome to Kinds of Sentences. This is Unit 1, Lesson 1 in your grammar. All right, so welcome to your first flipped grammar lesson. We're going to do the best we can through this. This is new to me too, but I think we'll just get better as the year progresses. Just a side note, you want to make sure that you have loose leaf paper and a writing utensil with you because you're going to need to take notes along the way. And there's going to be some guided practice and independent practice for you to try on the video as well. I will do the best I can to remind you to pause at certain places so you can pause your video, write down any notes you might want. But just keep that in mind that as we go along, it is a video. You can pause and you can rewind as much or as often as you need to. All right, so a couple pointers that you're going to want to follow. Although you're going to have access to all of the videos at home, they'll be uploaded to your Google Classroom. You never know when I might allow you to use notes on a test. So if you're smart, you're going to use your note-taking skills along the way on this and, make sure you have the information that you need. Now, you are required to complete the guided practice and independent practice during each lesson. That is what we will look at the next day or, whenever the homework is due. If it's assigned on Thursday, it's not due till Monday. So, but those are the things that we're going to be going over in class to make sure that you understand the skill that we're looking at in grammar. And then you'll have more practice and other activities during our class time. All right, let's get rolling on this. Let's do our first flipped lesson. Okay, so we're talking about kinds of sentences, and we have 4 kinds of sentences that we use each and every day. They are declarative, imperative, interrogative, and exclamatory. Declarative sentences make a statement. Imperative sentences give a command. Interrogative, ask questions, and your exclamatory show a strong emotion. Now, each one of these 2 has different punctuation that we use with them, and we will be talking about that as we go along. Okay, so we're going to start with a declarative sentence. Declarative sentences make a statement, and they end with a period. Here's an example. The first day is always the hardest. Okay, I am not commanding someone to do something. I'm just simply making a statement that the first day of school, in this case, is always the hardest. Our next kind of sentence is an imperative. And an imperative sentence gives a command or makes a request of someone. Like this. Please double check your schedule. Now, who am I talking to? What's the subject of that sentence? Well, it's you. It's what we call an implied you. Okay, and most imperative sentences that are giving commands or making requests, that implied you is usually there. And the person understands that you're talking to them. Our third kind of sentence that we're going to look at is an interrogative. And interrogative sentences ask a question. That means they always, always, always end in a question mark. Take a look. Okay, here we have, will I find my way around my new school? Good question. Okay, the fourth kind of sentence that we're going to talk about are exclamatory sentences. An exclamatory sentence expresses emotion, usually a stronger emotion, and ends with an exclamation mark. Here's an example. What a maze of corridors this building has. Okay, there's a little bit of stronger emotion coming through. It's more than just a simple statement. All right, you with me so far? Let's do a little bit of guided practice, okay? Get ready to write some sentences and try to see if you can identify each of the types that I show you. Don't forget, you're taking notes so you can look at your notes as you're going along. Okay. For directions on this, what I would like you to do first is draw a triple T chart that looks kind of like this. Now, if you notice on my chart, the far left section is quite a bit bigger than the middle and the far right, and I did that on purpose because the far left section is where you're going to write the sentence that I give you. So you're going to want to have more room. You're going to label that as sentence. The middle, you're going to label as type of sentence. That's where you will identify whether it's an exclamatory or interrogative. And in the last column, you're going to state what kind of punctuation. Now, as we go along with this, and I'll kind of walk you through on the first slide, I want you to be able to write the sentence, identify the sentence, and then put the punctuation in. So you're going to want to pause, and I'm trying to give like 5 seconds or so, maybe 10, for people to be able to hit that pause button before I continue on in the video. So you're going to want to make sure you pause. All right. Make sure that you have gotten your T-chart set up the way it should be. There will be 5 sentences that you're going to write and identify. If you need to hit pause, now would be a good time. Alrighty, here we go. Let's do this first one together. So number 1 says, I can't find my schedule. I want you to write that sentence down in the far left column. I want you to identify the type of sentence in the middle column. And then I want you to tell me what kind of end punctuation that sentence should have. Go ahead and hit your pause button, try it, and I'll be back with you as soon as you hit play. Okay, so I can't find my schedule. What kind of sentence is this one? Okay, this is just a very simple declarative sentence. It's a statement. I can't find my schedule. What kind of punctuation do declarative sentences have? They always end in a period. Okay, you with me? All right, let's take a look at the second. Number 2 says, please help me find it. Take a moment, hit the pause button, write down your sentence, identify the type of sentence, and tell me the kind of punctuation. Give you a second to pause. Okay, so please help me find it. What kind of sentence is this? It's an imperative. It's someone giving a command or making a request in this case. What kind of punctuation do we use with imperative sentences? You should have a period. Okay, number 3. Is Mr. James your teacher? Write down the sentence, identify the type, and give the kind of punctuation it should have. Go ahead and pause and get this written down. And we're back. Is Mr. James your teacher? What type of sentence is this? You should have written that it's an interrogative sentence. It's asking a question, so what kind of punctuation do we have to have? Every interrogative sentence has question mark. All right, number 4. Number 4 says, Mr. Al-Jalal is a fantastic teacher. Take a moment, write down the sentence, identify the type, and tell me the kind of punctuation. All right. What kind of sentence do we have here? You should have written that this is an exclamatory sentence. What kind of punctuation do we need with exclamatory sentences? We need an exclamation mark. Double check, make sure you have it right. And moving on to number 5. Number 5 says, who do you think will be my geometry teacher? Write down the sentence, identify the type, give the correct kind of punctuation, go ahead and pause. All right, and we're back. What kind of sentence do we have here? We're asking a question. Therefore, we have an interrogative sentence. What kind of punctuation do we have to have with interrogative? We always must use a question mark. So the big question of the hour right now is, how did you do on the guided practice? Did you struggle? Did you do really well? We did go over types of sentences briefly last year, so this should be review for you. No worries if you are still trying to catch on. Remember that you can always hit that pause button. You can watch the video as many times as you need to make sure that you have it right. That's what I really like about our flipped lessons, how it's going to be, because you can always go back and rewatch things. All right, let's sum things up here. What have we talked about? 4 kinds of sentences. A declarative makes a statement and ends with a period. An imperative gives a command or a request and ends with a period. So there's 2 kinds of sentences that end with a period. Then we have interrogative sentences, which asks a question and it always ends with a question mark. And then our 4th and final kind is an exclamatory sentence, which shows strong emotion and ends with an exclamation mark. A little hint that I use myself is I think about interrogative. A lot of people get interrogative and imperative mixed up because they both start with I. I think of interrogative and the word interrogate, which I associate with like a police officer or a detective. What are they going to do? They're going to interrogate someone. When you interrogate someone, you ask questions. So that's how I keep it straight in my head. It might be helpful for you too. Let's take a look at your independent practice. And this is the last slide, guys, your independent practice. Now, excuse me, I want you to skip down just a couple lines, write independent practice as your title. It doesn't matter if it's, in mid-page. I want you to write the sentence and you're going to add the correct punctuation mark at the end. Once you've done that, then you're going to tell what kind of sentence it is. So you have 10 sentences. Should be pretty straightforward. You can always go back to your notes. You can always rewatch the video. And we will be looking at this independent practice tomorrow in class. And then we're going to do some other activities with types of sentences before we move on to your next flipped grammar lesson. Okay, guys, so at this point, you are going to do your independent practice, and we will check it out in class tomorrow. Email me if you have any questions. Talk to you later.